Hello YouTube, Triumph Guy here today, and I'm going to be fitting a solar panel to my van. Now, as you can see, yeah, it's pretty minging weather out here, so I'm not going to be fitting the panel today, but I will in the video, obviously. So I'm going to just show you a couple of things of placement and where I'm going to place the cables, and then we'll get into fitting the panel. So first things first, on top of the roof on this side, and this is the electrical side, and where the cupboard sits just there, you can see there's a lot of stuff. So I'm actually going to be fitting the panel on the other side and run the cables along the roof and then down. I'm also going to be doing it on the flat of the roof, and I'm going to try and get as close to the axle as possible, because if there's any wind disturbance on the panel, then this should sort of stabilize the van. If it's too far back and you get a bit of wind disturbance, you're going to get downforce on the back, and then vice versa on the front, you're going to get downforce. If you can, try and get more bias over the wheel, or slightly biased to the front. Now, my last van, it was really easy because I fit the panels and none of the walls were in. I basically rebuilt it from scratch, and you can see that in my channel, and I'll put a link in the playlist for that Caravan build in the comments section. So basically I just ran the cables inside the wall, and then I put the walls on afterwards. But on this one, we're not going to be stripping anything out. So I'm going to go through a number of options you can do, and depends on how DIY savvy you are, depends on how well you can do it. Option one, which would be the easiest, is to run the cable through the roof inside one of these cupboards, okay? And then just run trunking down the wall with the cables into where the battery is. Option two, very similar, yeah? So do it on this side, let's say, and then run it all the way around inside the cupboards, and then down there. Option three, again on this side, you could run it down into there, all the way underneath this bit, and into the battery there. Option four, what I'm going to try and do, hopefully, and we'll see by the end of the video if I do manage to achieve it, is run the cables through the cupboard, into here, into this component here, and then try and run them where the rest of the cables go. As you can see just there's a gap, and then this just runs all the way along around the back of all this stuff, and we're going to be trying to get access through these to get it through down here, underneath here, and into the back of the battery unit there. So we've got all this stuff up, and as you can see there's a pre-drilled hole here, and we're going to try and thread the cable through there. We're going to thread the cable from the other side and coming in. The reason we're doing this is I've actually bought this pre-made up cable with a fuse, and then we'll just put that on the other side and then thread this through. It's important that whenever you do 12 volt and 240 volt, that they are in separate, okay? Because if you did get a slight break in the cable, you'd actually turn all this into 240 volt, which we don't want to do. So I'm just going to thread it through that hole there. There you go, so that's all threaded through. We're not going to connect it up for the time being, so we're just going to close this up now. The good thing about obviously threading that through now is no matter what option we choose, option 1 to 4, we're always going to need the cable through there. So we're going to try and route it now through behind here and over the wheel arch, see how we get on. Obviously if it doesn't work, then we'll have to try one of the other options, one of the least preferred options. So as you can see, the cable's going through there. And then we're just going to go and thread it through this bit first, okay? So I'm just going to get one end of it, just see if it's possible. So I've got the first bit through there. Yeah. So that's good. That's the fridge bit done. So what I'm going to do with this wire is it's going to go over the wheel arch. So I'm going to make sure that it's sort of always pushing down, and it's going to hopefully follow the bottom here and then exit where the cupboard is. But I need it as far towards that wall as possible. But as long as we can thread it, we can then work the wire from this side and that side over that way, because we don't want it to get interrupt the oven or get anywhere near sort of heating system. Some conduct here, and I'm just going to thread it before I actually thread it underneath that way. So I'm going to thread this that way, just to protect the wire. Once I've obviously threaded this side, I'll do the same with conduct going. I'm a bit of an idiot. I've just found that underneath the oven has got an accessible plinth. So now I'm going to go into that and then see if I can make it a bit easier to thread the cable. That removed, we can now run the cable in. A couple of points, obviously that's the heater pipe down there. So we don't want to go too close to that, even though we are using conduct. And then obviously at the top there is the oven, so you can't get too close to that. So I think I'm probably going to go round the back of the wheel arch where the water pipes are going, and we'll go for that. Not all caravans will have this, but to remove it, just got these clips here. This is just in the cupboard. It's just to hide the cables from the roof. And just get a knife in there. Take that out. And then little screws are just in there, okay? So that's the tunnel now removed. Thankfully, because I've just noticed that someone's obviously screwed a hole through the satellite cable. So I'm gonna have to replace that. Shouldn't be too hard. And then yeah, we're just gonna run the cable up here and probably exit the same point as this. Right, so next step is to get these legs onto that. You can do it either way. Some people stick these legs on and then put the on the roof and then put the panel on. I prefer to put the legs on the panel and then put it all up as I wanna on the roof. So what you're gonna need is just some glue, right, and some self-tapping screws. All the glue's there for is just to hold this in place on the panel, so it's nice and tight in there for when we put the screws in, okay? That's not actually to hold it. So I've tried to use the self-tapping screws, but I think they're just slightly too short. So they're catching the metal, but not really doing, just sort of touching it. So I'm gonna go use nuts and bolts instead, which will work anyway to sort of secure it on. But yeah, self-tapping screws if they're long enough. If not, just drill through them and use this, nuts and bolts. Now I'm just going to put the nuts on the other side of that, and then make sure that you free the cables at the bottom, because the last thing I want to do is put the panel on the roof and then have to worry about the cables. So I'm on the roof now. This is where the electrics are going to come through, and just got this bit of foam here which come with the panel, just to see for size where I can put it. So it's either going to be on this side or in fact on the other side. The other thing you can use is obviously the box. Either way, they're not exactly the same size. It's a little bit extra, but yeah, should be all good. So I've put the box there. Yeah, the good thing about it is obviously the width of the box is the same with them legs on it. So I'm gonna go across that way there, which is quite a good thing because it shouldn't disturb the drag too much, because obviously I've got all the skylights there, and then I'm going to have the cables run just down here. The other good thing is obviously the axle is just down there, so it's just behind the axle, which isn't too bad. Yeah, so if we get any wind disturbance, it should sort of help being here rather than being too biased to the front or too far to the back. So now we've got our site, we're just going to clean the roof, use normal soapy water at first, and then use white spirit or like an alcohol to clean it up completely. That's the first bit sort of cleaned, okay? Just go over where the corners would be with alcohol, like I said. Also don't forget the bit where the cable's going to go, because that's going to need sticking down to the waterproof cover. So I wouldn't recommend doing this on your own, however I've got no choice. So I'm going to put a bit of wood under it like that, get it up on the roof. It means that I can glue each corner on there and then lower it down, hopefully. So this is the stuff I'm going to use. It's 522 sticker flex. I use it on my flexible panels. It's a really good thing. Once this is on, it's proper on, okay? Unless the paint fails, this stuff never fails. So I'm just gonna go up and just check the alignment of the panels, and then we'll crack on with this. There it is, all lined up, ready to go. Cables are out, make sure they are, because obviously you don't want to stick the panel down and them stuck under there. And if they're close to the roof sort of lights, just double check that they still open the panel in place. I've obviously got plenty of room either side, so let's get sticking. Right, so we're inside now. Obviously this is the cupboard where I want it, so I'm just thinking might try and go So also I don't want to hit them cables there. So I think probably the safest point is probably around about here. So yeah, just gonna, using these as a reference point, take that there, drill, and then thread the cables through this, and then glue this down. Loosen these, and then thread the cable through there. Okay, leaving the big end ready to connect. So unfortunately the camera died. However, I'm just going to quickly show you what I've been up to since the cables are threaded through there, all the way down to the bottom. And then what I've done, right, in this order: live solar, neg solar, live battery, neg battery. You don't need to use the last two. That's to take load straight from the solar, but it's actually just better just to charge the battery and then have everything from the... Also, a quick one while you're still here. I've got a new channel, Caravan Cubs, so you can follow me and my family of 6 on our epic adventures in this caravan. So make sure you give that a follow, and I'll put that in the comments. Once the solar's dried, just run a bit of silicone around the outside. I've made a right mess of mine. I know, I'm scared of heights, so it doesn't really help. So yeah, whack a little silicone around so there's no chance that air can get up and lift it up. And also I've got a bit of wood just weighting that down there. Next thing you can do is just do the battery up, then neg on the next side, pos on the pos side, and then that is you. Thanks very much for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments. And I've also done a few restorations of caravans, so I'll put the playlists to them in the description. See you on the next one.